Welcome back to the travel adventures of Mr. Sneaky Duck and Edgar Allan Crow. eBook page 5. I'm Mr. Rains. Today we're going to read aloud, then we're going to go over what we learned last time. We're going to go over some new information, which is claims, evidence, support, and then your quiz, and you'll move on. How we met Edgar Allan Crow and a little about him. Edgar was born in Los Angeles, California in June of 2002. His family was living on an apartment complex close to the airport at Equity Apartment Complex on 7018 West 94th Street in LA. There were always a lot of airplanes going by above, but Edgar didn't mind it because newspapers would blow by and he would read them and dream about seeing the world. The garbage at the apartments was always full of the best foods too, Chinese, Mexican, and gourmet burgers. You see, Edgar's father, Edgar Sr., believed that pilots lived in the apartments and they always got great takeout because they were tired of airplane food. But who can eat after a flight? So Edgar Sr. said most of the food would end up in the garbage. Since crows will almost eat anything, his family felt very lucky to have such riches. Edgar loved to tell stories about the places he saw in newspapers that blew his way. He liked the big buildings and the shiny windows. In his dreams, some of the cities he saw in the papers had streets paved with gold. Edgar Sr. came in one night cackling up a storm. "We gotta go," he said, "now! Ah! We can't live here anymore. The airport runway people are coming after the crows. They already have a permit. Oh, they have their falcons coming to get us." So in America at airports, if crows are seen as danger to airplanes, the crows can be terminated. Many times this is done by trained falcons or hawks. This is sad, but it saves human lives. All right, that was Edgar Allan Crow. And some of these highlighted things here, we're going to go over a little bit later when we talk about the new information. But what did we learn last time? We learned a lot of things. We learned on documents. If you do these control functions, what they will do. We learned that Alt-Tab changes the screen to any one that's open on the computer. Like I have, let's see, this open. Whoa, scary clown. And in case that scared you too badly, I have some puppies. So that's Alt-Tab. We went over, oh, that's too scary. I went over that. And all of these, let's hope you took good notes, good Cornell notes. And if you want, you can always pause the video or you can slow down the video. We talked about how to exit the full screen in Chrome. Remember that is F11 or FN F11. All right, now on to the new information, which is claims and evidence and support. When we look at the notes here, I want to figure out what a claim is. In rhetoric, this is writing or anybody convincing anybody through speech or writing is rhetoric. In argumentation, of course, a claim is an arguable statement. An arguable statement, something that can be argued for or against. An idea that asks an audience to accept it, also called an arguable statement. Generally speaking, there are three kinds. There are claims of fact, so they say something is true or not true. There are claims of value, which say something is good or bad or more or less desirable. There are claims of policy that say one course of action or one thing that somebody's doing is better than another. So this is when you get into a lot of politics. They say that Obamacare is better than a Trump care or whatever the other medical insurance plan that our nation comes up with. they will argue that one policy is better than the other. But it says that in a rational, or one that makes sense, argument, all three claims have to be supported by evidence. So what's evidence? Take a breath. Evidence refers to facts, documents, documentation, testimony used to strengthen your claim. Support is also what they can call evidence. Support is almost the same. Or to reach a conclusion. Evidence isn't the same as proof, though, they say. Evidence allows for professional judgment, so yes or no, maybe, maybe not. And proof is absolute and incontestable, means you can't argue about it. You can't argue for or against absolute proof. But I would like to say that some evidence or some, stacks of evidence can be considered proof of something being absolute. Anyway, if we look at a claim, and this says something can be argued, I can say Jalissa, twisted in the air, ended up falling hard and sliding because she did something wrong. My claim is that she did something wrong. So if we look at the video here and examine it closely, we can find out if Jalissa did anything wrong. So she's swinging, asking her to go. Whoa, she's quite high in the air. And she twists and, she falls quite hard. But my claim was that Jalissa did something wrong. So let's watch more closely as we go into slow motion. So I see that she's let go of one rope or one chain, but she's left her arm on the other and she hasn't let go of the other chain. In order to jump straight, you should let go of both chains at the same time. Therefore, she did something wrong, and she begins to twist. Swoop. See, now she just let go of that chain. So much so that even the swing set or the swing itself is twisted in the air. And as she goes through the air and slides down and her wig comes off, you can see, obviously, she wouldn't have ended up like this if she did everything right. But we saw the moment that she did something wrong is right here, when she let that one chain go but not the other, creating an extreme difference in the momentum of the left and right side of her body, thus making it twist in the air and slam down extremely hard, making her wig come off and slide underneath her body. So, in short, if we went over the claim, Jalissa twisted in the air, ended up falling hard and sliding because she did something wrong, and we look at the evidence in the video, it shows, we could even say what video, on YouTube, and then maybe we could link the video here if we wanted to give people access to it, to cite it, but we'll learn about citation later. It shows her letting go of one chain after she let go of the other. This made her twist in the air. So that is the evidence. Very well. Let's go back to the story here and talk about claims and evidence. So Edgar claims that he's at 7018 West 94th Street. Now I gave you a little clue by giving you a link here, and you're going to have to try to figure this out for yourself and answer the quiz question. But that's a claim that he lives there. But he also says that there was an airport nearby. So if he lived there and it's kind of true, or if there's any evidence for his story being true, there has to be an airport near this address. So that's all I'm going to say about that. There are some other claims here too. It says crows will almost eat anything. That's a claim. There's no evidence for that, since crows will almost eat anything. Anyway, there may be a question about that. Edgar loved to tell stories about places he saw in newspapers that blew his way. Well, this is a claim that he could tell something. How can a crow tell anything? Does he speak English? Okay, I don't know. Here's another one, that they have falcons getting birds, other birds, at airports. They have falcons at American airports. And they said that crows can be terminated. So that's a claim, that crows can be terminated. Anyway, if I wanted to check a claim, I would try to look for evidence. Now, this one I gave you a clue. And so I'm going to click on it and you can see what comes up. Naturally, a Google map is coming up. And it says 7018 West 94th Street. That's where he said he lived. If his story is true, there has to be an apartment complex there called Equity Apartments, and there has to be an airport nearby. I want to check for an airport first. So I'm going to zoom out. What is that right there? Los Angeles International Airport. Now, if you see this little person here, if you can just touch them and drag them, or click and drag, and put it right exactly where Mr. Edgar Allan Crow said he lived with his puppy. Boom. Oh, wow. Look what it opens up, a street view. So you can go and look around here, and you got to click and hold and move. Whoa, this says Equity Apartments. His story looks like it's checking out. And if I zoom out a little bit, look at the satellite view. I could see that the airport runway is very, very close here. So maybe he said newspapers blow over here. So maybe he lived around this area. Very smart. So back to the ebook. Now, if I could say there was a claim that on Equity Apartment Complex on 94th Street that he lived there, that's a claim. And support that he lives there also would be that on Google Maps, his story is supported because there's also an airport there, and the apartment complex there does say Equity Apartment Complex. I saw the picture, so that's evidence. All right. With that said, I hope that gives you enough clues to help you with your quiz. Alt-Tab.